Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Ba-na-na-na, bow, 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 bow. You know, I don't think I really have that much of an interest in playing Team Fortress 2 again, but I have to say, that game is going to have, like, an eternal cultural impact. There's something about it, man. Like, just the music and the art style, just, like, the vibe. It's eternal. Like, you know, even if I don't want to play the game. Yeah, it's incredibly iconic. What's up? And that's not a common thing, either. You know what I mean? Like, there are plenty of games that are super, super popular for a long time, but I don't think it's really common for a game to be not popular in the sense that it's played for a really long time, but like the iconography just lasts indefinitely. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. It's designed to be that way. Well, I'm just saying they did a good job with it, you know? That's it. Uh it's a good game. I'm tired. I fell asleep at 4:30 last night. I had lots of pie. Not pie actually, tart. I had lemon and chocolate tart. Aw, this is so cute. Nia Tigra, thank you for the beautiful pigeon rogue. I can hear her screaming on the other side of the house as I speak. Look. There we go. Look at her. Ooh. We celebrate in this house. I love her sneaky baby. There we go. Shakespeare couldn't have composed a better response. How you doing, guys? We don't have an especially long stream today. We just have a few. No, PAKMAN is unbanned from Twitch. Just a couple of critical issues to go over. We're talking to PAKMAN in like 7 minutes. Which will be nice. Are you planning on covering how Belarus is flying refugees into Belarus? I don't even know if it's Belarus or Belarus, to be perfectly honest with you, which tells you how unprepared I am to meaningfully speak on any political issue going on there. Why was he banned? It was, I think during the Rittenhouse trial, some graphic footage got shown that Twitch didn't like. Oh, PAKMAN is waiting for me? Oh, hold on. Oh, well, I started 10 minutes early for the express purpose of talking to you guys, but sure, alright. Alright, 1 second.
Second. We're actually going to talk to Ian Vosh now. Hold on a second. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello yourself, David, the PAKMAN. Happy to be talking to you.
It's great to be on with you again.
Truly an honor. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. I, through a contrivance, got to see my family earlier in the month, so I didn't see them this time. We just, had
a contrivance. Is that legal?
It shouldn't be. I got baited into heading down to LA for a Jubilee appearance, but it turns out it got canceled after I booked the flight, so my parents are there anyway, you know, so.
Oh, I see. Do you say where you're based regularly?
Oh, I'm in Seattle, normally.
Oh, okay. Oh, so literally down the coast.
Yeah, or up the coast.
Gotcha. And what are you on planes? Are you like doing full N95 or just like one of the cloth masks?
Just a, you know, a rotating series of disposable masks. I never found a cloth one that looks good with a beard. I don't know if I ever could find one that looks good with a beard. I fucking hate these.
Oh,
masks.
I see.
Yeah.
Are you like, when you're on a plane, do you feel like you're more at risk of catching it, or on a plane you feel safe?
Honestly, I don't feel that at risk on a plane because it's, you know, airports and airplanes are one of the few institutions that actually seem to take seriously the whole wiping down every surface, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I feel more at risk at like a grocery mart than I do on a plane, but that's just, I don't know. It's just my feeling.
That's interesting. See, I have a bit of a different perspective. I mean, I don't feel too at risk on the plane, but not because they're wiping down surfaces, because it seems like that actually is not really how people are catching this. It's more just like you're near someone who has it and you're breathing the same air.
Yeah.
But because of the very high efficacy air filtration and mandatory masks.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about the air filtration. They'd have to keep that standard up there. I do still hate
Yeah.
flying, though. Honestly, COVID is the least of my worries. I just hate heights. So it's just, I'm not a big fan, as for the concept.
Do you medicate on the flight?
No, I try not to. I know people who have to take Ambien or whatever, but I usually just stock up on audio, audio books I haven't listened to or podcasts or whatever the hell else, and just try to live through it.
I gotcha. Yeah. No, I know people who take sedatives when they fly, stuff like that.
Or they just drink. If in first class, right? They usually just give you wine. You can get enough of that. I mean, that might help.
Sure. Oh, are you flying in first class?
Only flown in first class once. It was somebody else was paying for it, and I didn't like them, so I just went with first class and booked it to them. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a good move. That's a beautiful move.
Yeah, it's the only time I would afford myself that indulgence. If economy is good enough for Bernie, it's good enough for me.
Right. Well, I'm seeing pictures of him up front too, but I guess that's a story for a different day.
Oh, he varies a little bit, getting complacent in his old age.
Are you now on Thanksgiving? Are you do you eat turkey? Is that a big thing for you?
I know turkey's like the worst meat. No, okay, this time we just had mac and cheese. It was disgustingly rich mac and cheese. I got some tarts and some pies, but normally no. I'm more of a stuffing bread roll pecan pie food coma type of guy. What about you?
Oh, yeah, I had some turkey. I mean, it's like, it's always kind of dry and like you're really counting on, it's really about the quality of the gravy, quite frankly, that because the turkey breast, it's like, it is what it is,
Yeah, there's only so much you can do to zhuzh it up, I think. Who'd you celebrate with? Like,
with family.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, just
Yeah.
it was just me and my roommates. But
Okay.
the family, very flexible term. Whoever you're with can be your family on Thanksgiving. It's the magic of the holiday.
Are your roommates sort of like, I'm guessing you're the most famous of the people you live with. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I guess so.
Are they resentful of your fame?
Maybe they would be if I made them pay rent. But honest to God, I feel like they're getting the good end of the deal on this one.
Oh, you pay for their rent.
That only seems fair, right? Like proportionally.
I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances are.
I would never. I'd feel like such an asshole, Like, oh yeah, you've got this arrangement, that, and the other, and we're all going to split it 3 ways, and then I, watch them like pull out the coins they've got buried in the back of their wallet to try to make rent. No.
Oh, do you own the place? Is that the situation?
No, we're all renting. Yeah.
You're all renting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You're not like rent seeking or something like that.
No. As far as my audience knows, we're all renting. I would never become a landlord. Wouldn't. Yeah.
As far as my audience knows. Okay, I gotcha. Very, very good. We'll check the property records later and determine exactly the arrangement there.
Oh yeah. Just try to catch me.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, on the flying thing, I did want to ask, do you not like the discomfort of it, or is it you're worried the plane will crash?
I think it's shifted more with time, because when I was younger, I was just terrified of crashing. And I still don't like that, but now I think the physical discomfort is the worst bit by far.
Okay.
The seats are so tiny, and I'm a decently big guy,
Is that right? How tall a guy are you?
I'm 6'2", and I've got wide hips, so they bridge up against the little armrests like on the sides, but you can't lift them if you're next to a stranger, of course. So
I had no idea you were 6'2", because in the infamous picture of you sitting next to Stephen, Kenneth, Destiny, Benell II, you guys are sitting down, and it's hard to tell relative size.
Yeah, and out of respect, I try to lean down a little bit, stoop my shoulders.
You're slouching down just to not impress people too. Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's good. That's polite.
Yeah, just common etiquette, I think.
I think so.
The last fight. Before we talk about anything serious, the last flight that I had was utterly miserable. I had a headache the duration of the return flight, but the woman directly in front of me, this older lady, who didn't speak English, only Spanish. And she actually had like a medical emergency. She couldn't breathe that well. So, they brought out the oxygen tank. They did the whole is there a doctor on board thing. And I
Mhm.
actually, with a headache, got to like have 40 minutes of people swarming next to me, like elbowing me in the side of the head as they shuffle around the woman directly in front. She was fine. She was fine.
Now, when they ask for a doctor on a plane, I wonder if people stand up and say, I'm a doctor, but I mean, I'm a doctor in sociology. Or in that context, is it known that they only want a medical doctor?
I'm actually really proud of my flight guests because it seems like every one of them got the connotation. I had not one of
They
them
knew
stood
they
up.
wanted a medical doctor.
And not one of them stood up and was like, "Yeah, I've got a doctorate in mathematics, and
Right.
yeah, this shit's whack." So I'm proud of them. Maybe the next flight though.
It's funny because there, everybody knows exactly what they're looking for. My dad has had situations where he actually is a doctor, but a psychiatrist, and he'll wait because he knows when they're asking for a doctor, they'd rather it not be a psychiatrist. So he'll usually wait. But then if it's like nobody steps forward, then he'll be like, I'm a doctor. Okay.
Yeah, because that's better than nothing, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's
that's
better than nothing.
you still definitely a few steps up above the average person. You got
Sure. I mean, it is a
EMTs,
medical
nurses.
doctor, but
Yeah, you could probably like I don't know, look at people's eyeballs and get something from that, their state of being, how they're feeling. I don't know. It's something more than I know.
Well, his thing was very simple. It was someone was having a food allergic reaction of some kind, and they had. So you don't really see shrimp that often on planes, but they had shrimp, and then it was like, oh, I think I might be allergic to shrimp,
What
and
a
my dad
time
just
to
had to
find
say,
out. Jesus.
do you guys have Benadryl in your like medical kit? And they were like, yeah, and he was like, I'd probably give him a Benadryl. I don't know, and then the guy was fine.
Oh, okay. Well, good thing it didn't require one of those EpiPens. That'd be
Right?
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What a time to
So
cry
listen,
shrimp.
what are we talking about today?
Oh, my as my resident favorite liberal, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about Rittenhouse.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I mean, you covered the trial, obviously. All the trial that I saw was through your stream, so I know you covered the
Beautiful. I know
trial.
you were in there leaving very powerful super chats.
Yeah. Um, and you were there very powerfully leaving the stream for hours at a time, collecting revenue, while I
Well,
don't
I
know,
did have
running
work
off.
to do. I had to plan my next show.
Oh, well, not all live streamers have that privilege. I actually have to. I rush back from the bathroom after peeing, to keep from
Okay.
losing viewers. But no.
Fair.
Uh, okay, so as for the legal outcome, I get it. I understand where that all came from. Morally, still don't think that she should have been there. I don't think that's a controversial take.
She who?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I've read so many memes about Rittenhouse transitioning to own the libs. It's
Oh.
infecting me. But I've seen how that all went. Have you had the pleasure of seeing the Tucker Carlson interview?
Yes, I have.
What did you think of that?
Well, I mean, listen. Oh God. So I feel like I have to issue 10 disclaimers. Like the opinion I'm going to give has nothing to do with the verdict. I get the verdict. It's the verdict I expected, etc. So like I'm just going to talk about the interview as an interview. I thought it was part of the predictable lionization and making a hero out of the guy. I mean that's if you want my one line analysis, it's that. I did think it was interesting when he says I support Black Lives Matter. A lot has been made of that was a calculated lie. He doesn't really support them, or he very narrowly said, I support their right to demonstrate, and that it was like, I don't know, okay, he said he supports Black Lives Matter. It might well be true. It wasn't like the most interesting part of it for me. But for me, it was like, the beginning of the very predictable hero tour where then he met with Trump and they did the pictures with the thumbs up and the whole thing. It's just part of the whole media tour.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been seeing a lot of mixed reactions online because I know there were a ton of conservatives who wanted Rittenhouse to be this like ride or die angel of MAGA conservatism, where he'd go up there and he'd screech like "Let's go, Brandon," and Tucker Carlson do the OK sign, and then like talk about trans bathroom, some insanely partisan shit. When I was watching the interview, he came off most to me like a really like partisan Republican like talking points you'd hear from a from like a a pundit when talking about self-defense and the trial specifically. But on
Oh,
other
I
stuff,
agree. The moment specific, sorry to interrupt, the
no,
moment
no, no.
where I knew this was like so calculated and coached, and it's okay to be coached. I'm not saying it's bad. Being prepared for an interview, okay, was where he started to say, it's the moment where he says the trial wasn't about Kyle Rittenhouse, it was about self-defense. And then he says, if I was guilty, no one would be able. And then he goes, no, no, no. He goes, no one would be privileged. And
To
it's like,
ever
that's
defend
the
yourself in the
language his
country.
lawyer used.
Yeah,
That's the language his lawyer used, you know?
that's I feel like that was absolutely, where the Soviet spy conditioning kicked in or whatever, where he was most trying to deliver a point. Because I felt like in contrast, the rest of the interview, he came off relatively measured. I'm not here singing his praises or anything. I'm not saying he, came off like a hero of the revolution, but oh God, hold on. There we go. Sheesh,
Oh
coffee.
my God.
Um,
What was that? That sounded like a gerbil.
No, it's coffee. I have cinnamon on top. It adds
Oh, okay,
texture to
okay,
my
okay.
throat.
Okay, got it.
But not to sing his praises or anything like that. But for the rest of it, it felt to me like he was sort of passively rejecting a lot of the stuff that I would expect him to cash in on. He said that
Mm-hmm.
the left and the right had both exploited him for political gain over the course of the trial. He seems to be uninterested in these showboaty, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, Gassar attempts at getting him as some kind of staffer. And that's interesting to me, because I feel like a lot of people on the right were let down. They wanted him to be the emblem of everything they've been screeching about for the past 18 months.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. And I thought, again, whether it was calculated or not, I actually think that he, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you looked at the online sphere in reaction, and there were a lot of people furious about his BLM comment, and a lot of people who didn't think he was, quote, tough enough when given the opportunity to send a message to Joe Biden or whatever the case may be. But there was a lot of that stuff where it seems like the perspective is just kind of say something to appease anyone who wants to be appeased, because the people who want to be mad will be mad either way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because the advice that I've given at this point is that, at least to my audience, you can't take any of this seriously anymore. If you take it seriously, like if you take it with great gravitas, oh, Rittenhouse, this, that, or the other, you come off like a sore loser. Now, Rittenhouse himself acknowledged that if he was black, he might not have been given the same prosecutorial privileges that he was given being a white guy, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. But I feel like now that we're like on the other side of the verdict, it's irresponsible because I've seen this somewhere in online spaces, to go, oh, well, he only got off because of white supremacy or because of
Oh,
this,
right.
that,
Yeah.
or the other. Because you can't really substantiate that stuff directly, even though it's sociologically omnipresent. And it makes you come off like, like a sore loser, like, oh, well, you only won because you cheated. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I have not, I don't know that I mentioned white supremacy during the trial other than the controversy over the picture, which was not admitted as evidence. But have people been saying after the fact that the verdict is a result of white supremacy? I didn't even hear that.
I don't think through official sources, more just like people getting angry on Twitter, a couple of viral tweets, stuff like that. I think
Oh,
because if a conservative sees that, right? I mean, it must be pretty reaffirming, like Rittenhouse wins and then the left engages in behavior that to them reinforces the idea that the left will call anything racist if they don't like the outcome. Um, same with the stuff with the interview with Tucker Carlson. I think it's quite funny, this ideological dissonance, I think, between the party and Rittenhouse's behavior post verdict. Um, but if you look into it too hard, I feel like you're opening yourself up for a lot of disappointment. I'm just kind of hoping that something, really funny happens in the future. Like he gets into a beef with some conservative, like prominent conservative who says that he's not living up to their expectation. I think that'd be very funny.
yeah. Or, I mean, there's always the chance that, well, you remember the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin case?
Yeah.
when that was done, it was pretty obvious that this was not the end of Zimmerman's legal troubles, and indeed it wasn't. With Rittenhouse, I actually do think now he seems to be better advised. He actually may stay out of trouble indefinitely. Whereas with Zimmerman, it seemed like the guy was so out of control that it was bound to get, and he had a domestic violence issue and some other issue. I actually don't know that that's likely to happen with Rittenhouse.
Yeah, I think I agree. I would be very surprised if he ever does anything like that again, you know. Not because I think he's undergone this gigantic ideological shift. He just doesn't seem to me like the kind of person who's predisposed towards violence, I guess I could say. Like it seems, at least from his behavior, maybe that's how he's shaped up since then, that whatever decision making led him to go and do his vigilante bit over at Kenosha was more or less circumstantial, that he's not going to be like gunning for the next opportunity. I could be wrong, but I think that's true. I don't think he's going to get any easy shots in like that.
No, I think if in a few months or in a couple years there's another similar event in some other, Antioch, Illinois, or whatever, wherever, some equivalent place that's driving distance from where he is, I would be surprised if he chooses to show up to guard a business with an AR-15, quite frankly.
Yeah, Rittenhouse, the Rittenhouse inning too. I don't think I'm ready for that one. I think I need a bit of
Right.
a break. I, it's, I'm interested in seeing how things go. I mean, best case scenario is that he stays out of stuff and just lives a regular life from now on, which I think would be ideal. But obviously, the talking points from the trial will remain. I know you don't do debates as often, I guess, as I do, but when you see conservatives say, like the liberal media lied about this, that, or the other, what do you say to that? Like, what talking points do you have? How do you plan to address that? What will probably be years of accusations of bias.
Right now, I mean, I've not talked to anyone who has really asked me to address that. I mean, my audience knows I basically don't watch corporate media other than specific things that I plan to talk about on my show. And I also don't even really remember the coverage from the beginning of it. So, I mean, if it becomes an omnipresent thing, to use your term, I will have to think about that. But I just don't even, I don't know. I mean, it's just not a conversation I've even had up to this time.
Okay, that's fair. I
To,
know
to
that.
go back to
Oh
the
yeah.
white supremacy thing, though, to go back a little bit, because I didn't want to get away from that immediately. The issue I have with that is you can always say that on some level that's the explanation, and it's essentially an indefeasible argument. And I'm reminded of there's this like a local story that a couple people I know were involved in related to an art show. And the idea was like, hey, we're going to have an art show, but in order to prevent possible bias on the basis of the identity of the artists, everything will be blind judged. So nobody will know the identity of the artists. Great. And then there was, without getting into the exact details, there was like a reaction about the rankings for the pieces of art where people started saying, even though it was blind, you had a jury in the art show that was all white, and that's reflected in their choices. And then later it came out, actually, most of the art jury were minorities. So it wasn't actually that. And then the next argument became, well, but they were privileged minorities, and one of them went to Harvard. And so their perspective is still emblematic. So it's like, well, you're never going to be satisfied that it was anything other than that. And it seems sort of like a similar thing to what you're talking about.
Right, right. Completely non-falsifiable. I think there are
Yeah.
times where you can make that argument fairly. Like, for example, the Ahmaud Arbery case, the police not charging until public pressure mounted. I am
Yes.
very comfortable saying that I can't say, any one of the cops are like Klan members or nothing, nothing particularly direct, but that absolutely feels like something which warrants a criticism along those lines. But you could apply it anything, anywhere, anytime, and you see people applying it in instances where it's entirely unwarranted. If it's non-falsifiable, you have to have a really good way of using it, or a really good reason to use it. Otherwise, you could just sort of throw it out there blindly. Like for instance, I mean, we've kind of seen the opposite a little bit. I think conservatives are really interested in getting kind of like a comeuppance to the Ahmaud Arbery verdict. That Wisconsin is it being called a terror attack when they drove into that um
Well, I think the right is definitely calling it that, although I mean it may be the right term for it.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know what developments have been made on potential motive. I know the driver was a black guy, and I've been seeing people, at least, people in my comment section or response, they were like, "Well, what are you going to talk about this black guy that killed these white people?" So I think that they're looking to invoke kind of the opposite. I remember after George Floyd was murdered, there was that 5-year-old white kid who was killed by that random black guy. It wasn't racially motivated. It was just
Yes.
yeah, and they were like, "Where is the justice for this 5-year-old white kid? What you care about Floyd, but not about this?" And it was just like the guy was caught. He's going to jail forever. Nobody was defending him. They'll look for
Right,
anything.
that was the difference. That was the difference at the time, which is it was just there's no chance that anybody's getting away with anything here.
Yeah, so there's nothing really to protest. I mean, it's horrible, of course. It's just
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I feel like so much of the discourse these days concerning criminal justice and race relations is really just waiting for the next highly publicized murder and and seeing how the discourse evolves around it. It feels like the discourse never evolves unless it's being catalyzed by some horrible random act of violence.
Now, along those lines, the things that I have been more, it's like there's, I don't know how much you're aware, but like, for example, the community around Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II has taken issue with my perspective on the Rittenhouse trial, and some others anecdotally have. And I've continued to say, for me, it looks like the facts point to totally plausible self-defense as an argument, and I expect not guilty. For me, the bigger concern here is that this is all part of the unique American gun culture where guns are seen as a sort of totally normal and sensible way to solve problems, and that this event in principle was not really problematic with all the people carrying like the parenting. Can you imagine what would have happened if, when I was 16 or 17, any of my parents had gotten hold that I was thinking of even going to such an event, never mind going armed, never mind, I'm going to go protect a business. Like,
Oh
there's
Christ,
so many other layers to this.
yeah. I completely agree. The issue, and I think Legal Eagle put out a great video that talks about this, is that self-defense is not even close to being a good metric for responsible social behavior. Where sometimes you have situations where a group of people can act somewhat irresponsibly, and you have an escalated series of self-defense killings until the last man standing is the one that gets the not guilty verdict. The you can't the idea that something is self-defense or like justified self-defense is not in any way like a holistic moral exoneration of their behavior. Especially with, I mean, you get cases like this sometimes. There was one that I saw where I think it was a gas station attendant was being robbed
Mm-hmm.
at gunpoint, and the gas station attendant actually disarmed the robber and pointed the gun back at the robber. And then a passing police officer who saw through the window one man pointing a gun at the other shot the gas station guy. If you're in a movie theater, one person starts shooting, the second person shoots in self-defense. Now there are two people
Yeah.
shooting. Yeah, it gets really tough to judge these situations, and that's why I hate the whole vigilante mob violence response. Just marauding through the nighttime streets as rioters and looters sort of gallivant around. Like, this is, you're maximizing the likelihood of violence here. It's not about protection. It doesn't protect anything.
Agreed.
Um,
Yeah. And I don't know if you remembered that. I mean, when you mentioned the movie theater, I'm guessing you're alluding to the Aurora Batman movie theater incident, right?
yeah, oh, yeah, in that, but I mean broadly too. Like, just imagine being in that situation, and you hear like gunshots coming from either side of the room. Like, how do you?
Right, right. Well, I guess my point was going to be, at the time, I don't know if you remember, there were people saying the problem is that the movie theaters are gun-free zones and there weren't armed people there. And then you say, well, hold on a second. You're saying if there had been additional shooters in the dark theater, it would have been better. And then they usually will retreat to, well, no, if it's known that it's not a gun-free zone, the shooter wouldn't have attempted this there in the first place, which seems to completely ignore that a lot of these public shooting incidents are not people thinking clearly in that way anyway, you know?
They're going there to die. A lot of these people expect to be suicided by cops. They're not going to be
Yeah.
deterred by the knowledge that 1 in 100 people might have brought their Glock to a Batman screening.
Right.
I really agree though about the sort of the sociological implications, because if you want to take like a really depersonalized stance, I think that Rittenhouse ultimately is a victim of a lot of social
Yes.
tendencies. Yeah, here in the States, gun culture being a huge part. The obsession with, and this is like a long-standing conservative thing. Racial protests are leading to violence in the streets. Our civilization is being destabilized. We need strong people out there with guns. This narrative has been around since before the civil rights movement, but it always ends in violence. It's possible to believe that too, with not a drop of racism in your body. You can believe that totally race neutrally, but it's a way of getting sometimes non-racist people in line with sort of the systemic uh you know white supremacist tendency. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I wonder, I mean, the problem is that when you say what's the full conclusion to this, it's everybody would be safest if just everybody had a gun. And unfortunately, like under the paradigm we have in which people can obtain firearms and all of the specifics, that only leads to a lot of people who currently don't have guns and have violent impulses having the same impulses plus the guns in more situations. And so they see the logical conclusion as once everybody's armed, no one would ever shoot anybody because everybody's armed and you'll end up getting shot. But it's like they already know they're likely to end up getting shot and it doesn't deter them now.
Yeah, they clearly don't. I was I was actually present at a shooting once,
Oh,
uh
really?
at Santa Monica College back in 20, I don't know, something 13. There was a shooting there at the library just outside of it while I was further in, and the guy came there, I think, to be suicided by cop. That's always how this ends, right? They very rarely get captured alive. The whole an armed society is a polite society thing is absolute bullshit. It's mathematically
Mm.
disprovable. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge proponent of gun rights. I have 6 guns just off to my right now. But there's a huge difference between gun ownership and gun culture. And the gun culture thing, the idea that guns are like this, you know, valuable weapon of, social righteousness. They're an extension of your masculinity. They'll solve any problem. You will be attacked every day of your life if you're not armed. That bullshit, that paranoid fear-mongering, that's, I think, the critical issue. The Swiss have plenty of guns in their households, but they're all,
Yeah.
you know, ex-military training, kept clean, stored up in the attic type deals, not
Well, it's
what
quite
we
simple.
do.
If you ask the Swiss, do you see guns as maybe being the way to solve a social, political, or interpersonal problem? The answer would be almost 100% no.
Mhm.
Whereas if you poll people in the US, and there was recently a poll done here, more general, it didn't say guns, but it said violence. But I'm sure if you repeated the poll with guns, a lot more people in the US believe that, at least on some of those interpersonal, political, or social, guns are a valid way to solve that problem. So you take that perspective among some people and you combine it with a ton of guns, it's not shocking what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, or people who think that having a gun in your house will make you safer. It won't, mathematically. You're not going to stop a burglar or a robber or whatever. That's not going to happen. Or people who think open carry makes like communities safer. Or people think concealed carry is like you'll be mugged like every other week. It's nonsense. But people believe this down in their gut. I mean, down to their core. I'll just say, by the way, because otherwise my commie friends, they'll get mad at me. The big thing that I advocate for with regards to guns is, I know that we've got a ton of guns in this country, and I know a ton of them are held by people with whom I share tremendous political disagreements. And if things get bad in this country, really destabilized, 20, 50 years, I don't know, whatever in the future, I would think it nice if relatively progressive city communities were armed and not just the right-wing militias that would start patrolling the
Oh,
streets the moment they got the chance, you know?
Yeah. So my audience knows, like I've said before, I don't really talk about my gun ownership or lack thereof, or I just don't see any real advantage to making it a personal thing. But I've said that over the last few years, many of my progressive friends have started legally arming themselves. And the reason they cite is I don't want the right wingers having all the guns or being the only ones with guns. That's the number one reason they cite. Many of them don't particularly like shooting guns. They're not target practice people. They don't believe that in terms of armed robberies or whatever, they're going to be statistically safer because but they say, if we play this out and the right is the only political side that's armed, that seems bad. And that's the number one reason they are pursuing firearm ownership.
Totally agree. I think that's a really honorable reason, you know. If you don't want it in the house because you feel like you got like a mental health risk or anything like that, like you could keep it with a friend. It's just that I think the broader deterrent is valuable. Is will some lunatic with an AR-15 refrain from shooting up a Denny's because 6 of the people in there might be concealed carrying? Probably not. But
Right.
if an entire city is generally known to be full of gun owners, you know, somewhere in their house. Will that maybe deter potential destabilizing militia action? Maybe it could. I don't know. Possibly. It. We have to have something, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. But I agree with you that at the individual crime level, at least right now, it doesn't seem to be a factor that's taken into consideration when people decide about committing particular crimes. Now, that being said, I do think it's relevant, I guess, to mention that I don't think that there's much advantage to Democrats at essentially any level of talking about guns and gun safety because it seems to only hurt them in any election that I've seen. I'm curious what you think about that. I'm not a Democrat. I don't know to what extent you even care about Democrats winning particular elections, but it seems to me that Democrats talking about guns makes it a voting issue for the right to come out and say, we've got to protect our gun rights by voting against this person.
Yes, I really wish they would shut up. Please, God, Beto O'Rourke is the last thing we need. There are so
Right.
many independents, libertarians, and even moderate Republicans who are generally decent people who are terrified of the government taking their guns. There is no reason to keep biting this bullet. You don't even have to go big pro-gun. Just shut up about it. I don't think
Just don't
Democrats,
talk about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Democrats aren't going to not vote for Biden if Biden doesn't really talk about the guns, you know? Just lay off, you know, some simple, oh, I support our Second Amendment rights. Then shut up about it. It's insane to me. It's borderline like they want to lose. There are so many people that are practically Second Amendment hardliners. I just don't know why anyone would waste political capital on this, and it never even comes to anything. What gun regulations have we had meaningfully in this country? The last big one was
Right.
the bump stock ban, but like really, there are hundreds of millions of guns. We're never going to ban all of those. What point is there in even trying?
I agree. I agree. And I even mentioned this in the context of Beto running and the clip from the Democratic debate in 2020, right? He just ran. I mean, it feels like so long ago. I guess it was 2020,
That's
where he
really,
was
yeah.
asked, "Wait, so are you saying you would like take people's AR-15s and AK-47s?" And he like pauses and says, "Yes." And it's like that's not going to help him in running for governor in Texas at all.
Oh, in Texas, of all places.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a branding thing. I don't, I'm not that afraid of guns, you know? Because the attitudes that make people dangerous when they hold guns are dangerous when they're not holding them either way, you know? The paranoid fear
But they're able
mongering.
to do more damage if they are holding
Oh,
guns.
absolutely. Don't get me wrong. The guns do
Yeah.
not help. But with hundreds of millions of guns in the country, I'm not like holding my breath for a total removal. You know, maybe if
Right.
we were Japan and we had like no guns in the country, this would be a different talking point. But I like, you know, if you have your average like QAnon nut, they're probably going to hurt me not through some sporadic shooting in a theater. They're probably going to hurt me by voting for politicians that are going to, I don't know, criminalize being gay or whatever. That's
Do the Q
more
people
my
even vote?
concern.
I mean, that's a different question, but
They have to with Marjorie Taylor Greene types in the Republican Party. I
mm,
feel like they've got to be at least somewhat invigorated.
yeah, that's probably true. I guess we'll see in 2022. I mean, the thing is, a lot of them are in safe red districts anyway, so even without like the Q contingent, they'll still win.
That's true. Yeah. Though you know they'll in the primaries, they'll vote in the crazier reds. I think it's really a shame how the hardliner Republicans are evangelical boomers who will like vote. They like put, on their calendar, they'll mark off the voting day. But the hardline lefties in this country are all like Bodega, Kropotkin readers who believe in anti-electoralism and won't even get out of bed for like voting out Trump. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have a sense of whether like okay, so in 2022, a bunch of them will get reelected just because they're in safe districts, and there's a few additional Q people that are running in 22. But like, if Trump doesn't run in 24, do you think that this like Q Trump movement just goes away, or do they become integrated into the Republican Party the way the Tea Party did?
I think I think it becomes fully integrated. I mean, even if Trump
Oh,
did something spectacularly bad, they've made, JFK Jr. like a legacy movement member in spite of him never having anything to do with anything, right?
yeah.
Um, because like the attitude doesn't go away. Republicans, the politicians, I mean, I feel like they're terrified of their voters. There was recently those that whistleblower from Facebook who said that at least in Europe, I mean the info was from Europe, but I think this is universally applicable. There were far right political parties who moved further to the right to match the increasingly radical views of their constituencies. So I feel like the snowball's rolling down the hill at that point. You can take DeSantis to take up the torch if you want, but unfortunately, I think we're going to need some kind of reconstruction tier social realignment to really fix this.
Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, for people in my audience who may not know, you are an actual bona fide socialist, not, someone wrongly called a socialist. How is the fight for socialism going in your mind?
Why would you ask me that? You know what I'm going. Why would you do that? Uh, Look, the primary goal of any socialist, first and foremost, should be anti-fascism.
Hmm.
Lenin allied with social democrat groups to fight against the fascists, the Thousand Knives in Russia. Mao stopped fighting with the conservatives to fight off Japan back in the 1930s. And they weren't even good socialists like me. I think that the goal, the black hundreds, not the thousands, thank you, the goal first and foremost is, I think, right now dealing with the Republican Party. And I think you can do that in ways which are more or less advantageous for, I guess, my long-term ideological goals. But to be honest, we're not really in a position to build anything right now outside of maybe the little spattering of a labor movement we've got presently. I guess we can kindle that little fire, like that little, match light, to keep the wind from blowing it out. Apart from that, though, just keeping this country from spiraling into nothing would be a good, good a good place to start.
That's interesting to me because my perception of you is you're not really like a tanky socialist in a very particular sense. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but um, I was talking to my dad the other day, and I don't know if you know, but like I'm from Argentina. My parents grew up in Argentina in the 60s, 70s, where there was like the equivalent to the current tanky movement. They loved Fidel Castro and so on and so forth. And one of the things I was talking to my dad about was this contingent in the left now that sometimes sort of almost sounds right wing, like without naming anybody in particular. Like they often like authoritarians like Putin and Castro and others. They, whatever, the full kind of like package of the thing. And what my dad said was, for him, this is such an old playbook. It's the exact same thing that he was seeing among the Argentinian tanky left in the late 60s and early 70s, that it's not a new thing. It's that there's always been this contingent of the so-called left. And he was close to that. Like in Argentina, he was part of like a Jew, what was called a Jewish socialist movement. And it was very different than the people who like the Russian and all the different stuff. What's your are you part of that group, or what's your perception of that group? It seems to me that you're not part of that group.
Well, with I feel like I'm trying to think of the most measured way of putting this. I
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people are looking for a kind of social rebirth. That people, when they're desperate or when they don't have much going for them, they're looking for some kind of direct meaningful movement that they think will radically change everything they don't like about the world. And those people are
Okay.
usually tankies or fascists. Where I'm not. This isn't an argument against revolutionary action, but rather it's this. They need this. They have an emotional attachment to this. Um, epigenesis, this massive social revival. But then there are people who approach their political project in I guess what I'd consider to be a more decentralized way, where it's not really about the direct attachment to that process or its outcomes, but about the principles that you try to meet on your way there. Historically, in every major socialist revolution, you've seen these two groups fight and one of them win, and it's almost always the authoritarians. After
Hmm.
Lenin won, the worker councils, which he relied on for the first 18 or so months of the Soviet Union, were quickly disbanded, their members killed or sent to Siberia. In Mao's China, you had a similar situation. The students were weaponized against the teachers, and all the old guard were killed off, and then eventually the students were sent off to the farms. This happens time and time again. It's deeply unfortunate, and I think the ultimate issue is that it's just way easier to be authoritarian. It's so much easier. It's way easier. You get a military together, you entrust everything to a glorious leader, and you trust them to enact these principles, but this just doesn't work. It's the reason why sometimes I come off a little bit less, I guess, revolutionary than other people who believe in such a thing. I think you need to
Hmm.
lay the right groundwork. You have to make sure the material conditions are ripe. The working class needs to be the agent of its own emancipation, with revolutionaries only being a tool to be used by the working class. If you do the opposite, where the working class is a tool to be used by the revolutionaries, you get a repeat of 100 years of failed socialism. They're just an angry mob to be weaponized until you can appoint a new elite cast of political agents.
Yeah, I mean, in our last conversation, and I'm getting the sense now, you believe in a more, I guess, what we would call a gradual transition to the system you believe is the ideal system,
Yeah, I think my
rather than a revolutionary transition.
my guess is we're not really going to have a choice. This is my guess. I don't know this, of course, but I think climate change is going to get bad enough that we're going to deal with economic downturn, resource, shortages, and climate refugees, and that this is going to lead to enough destabilization that America and a bunch of other countries are going to have like internal crises over what to do. And at that point, it's either going to be like some kind of fascist government or something more radical, more left leaning. I think at that point we're not going to have a choice. Like things are going to get really bad there. So for me, it's
Hmm.
just about laying the bricks until you reach that point.
You're not like a CIA or anything, right?
Not to my knowledge, as many times I've been accused of such.
Okay, couple other things I wanted to ask you. Hold on. Do you know? So, who is Mr. Beast, and what did he do in the last 48 hours that people are going crazy about?
He's a big YouTuber, a very big one, a kind of philanthropic. He reinvests a lot of his money into the projects that he does. Like we're all stranded on an island. Person to find this treasure gets $1 billion or whatever. He's made a
Mhm.
recreation of Squid Game. Have you seen Squid Game?
I'm aware of it.
You should see it. It's good. He's recreating it. He built all the sets, to his
Oh,
means.
really?
It got
Like in
yeah,
real life?
yeah. It got 400 or so people. I don't think they're spoilers. I don't think they're killing the people brought on board the way
Okay.
they did in the show proper. But I could be wrong. I actually haven't seen it.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna. It's actually something worth being aware of.
Oh yeah. Oh, Squid Game was lovely. I really really enjoyed it.
I just mean this whole Mr. Beast like version of it.
Probably. I've seen screenshots and I've seen little video clips, and I'm probably going to watch it either today or tomorrow because it does look pretty funny. It's actually going to be the first Mr. Beast video I've ever seen, so
Okay. Fair. Fair.
new to
Fair.
me.
Now, here's the other thing. As a socialist, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on a debate I was having with my audience earlier, and I think you're going to be uniquely positioned to weigh in on this. Do you believe
Absolutely.
that Tesla's inexperience with building vehicles is going to slowly allow legacy companies like Audi, Porsche, and Mercedes to chip away at Tesla's electric vehicle market share by virtue of simply being better at building nice cars?
Unironically, yes, absolutely. I recently watched a video which linked to a few articles talking about how Tesla's cars are not particularly well designed or well priced. Tesla is unique mostly in making them cool. I don't think that Elon Musk is a competent businessman outside of the
Hmm.
marketing element. I think that in terms of actually like a sustainable, long-term functioning product, he over prioritizes glitz and glam and under prioritizes like long-term sensible investment. Um, and and and
Wow.
and I think very little of the man. But no, really, like electric cars have been around for what, nearly a century? And there are cheaper and better electric cars in the market. They're just not Teslas. I think that once the hype wears off, and it will eventually, nothing like this stays around forever. I think other companies are going to surge back, and they're going to be able to sort of scavenge the clout that Tesla's carved out.
I tend to agree. I am both an owner of stock and of a vehicle. And I am going to slowly start disassociating from the stock slowly, bit by bit. And I'm looking very strong. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what makes it very inconvenient to have any non-Tesla electric vehicle right now.
Mhm.
The range of Teslas is still the best, and the fast charging network makes it really difficult to do long trips with any other vehicle.
Yeah, it's the infrastructure you lay down. If you're the first one
Yep.
to really capture or corner the market, you can edge other people out and force them,
Yes.
to yeah. So hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully we could, oh man, can you imagine if there was legislation on that so that like all the Tesla
Right.
charging stations were retrofitted so that they're universally usable? It's not like we
Yeah.
have
I mean,
gas
the
stations that only
problem
work
is
with one
then a lot
parking,
of them
right?
have a lot of them only have 8 to 12 stalls. Then there's not an if they were open. I'm not saying don't do it. I think that would allow me to much more easily look at other types of electric vehicles because I know I could use the fast charger, but those fast chargers would be permanently full if they were open to every electric vehicle. It's just the reality.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm a big advocate for public transport. It's not really relevant to this convo because you and I are probably aren't going to be taking buses everywhere, but I guess that'd be kind of nice long term. I feel like the dream would be would be that you could have this kind of thing at your house, wouldn't it? I mean, every house has an electric, current running to it. If there was some way to like commercially be like, here for 150 bucks, here's an install you can get. There's a cord that like plugs out through the garage. You just pull it out, and there you go. You're charging.
Well, they do. I mean, that basically exists. It's a little more than. I mean, listen. I don't know how much we want to get into this, but if you just have a regular plug without having any electrical work done, you get a cable with your car and you can charge it. The thing is, it'll only charge like 4 to 5 miles per hour, which is very
Right.
slow. You can then put in like a dryer plug, a 240 volt. That'll get you like 35, 40 miles per hour, and that's what I have. But you got to pay an electrician to put that in, unless you're going to run it all the way up to wherever your dryer is. But I think the bigger issue is when traveling away from home.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks. I think I mean the goal would be that we would only use these cars in short distance travel, I think, right? At least when I think of
Sure.
like a good sustainable electric infrastructure future, you have your car for like picking up groceries in the city, but if you want to travel like far, far, you've got robust train or subway networks, and then when you get there,
Agreed.
there are local options. I think that'd be quite nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in practical terms, we just don't have that. If you want to go, if you're in New York City and you want to go to, as I recently did, a wedding in Maine,
Yeah.
um, maybe you could take a train, but it might take 30 hours because you've got to go to maybe Montreal first. I don't even know how you would do it. Obviously, that's lacking right now.
Yeah. Well, we can always dream of the future. There are a few
Sure.
channels I'm really, really fond of. Adam something does a couple of videos making fun of Tesla and Elon Musk in reasonable ways. I mean, critiquing the technology, and not just a bikes, talks about sustainable infrastructure. And I love both of them very much. European cities are so wonderfully designed compared to our own, so livable.
Hmm.
It's one of the reasons I like Seattle. There are portions of Seattle where everyone's always walking, not because there's no parking, but more so because there's such a robust mix of residential and commercial zoning that there's always something interesting to do in the area.
Speaking of Seattle, by the way, I don't know how devastating this was to you. I'm guessing that up until recently, you were likely the biggest Seattle-based YouTuber, but with the arrival of J. Kenji Lopez Alt in Seattle, who has, I believe, one of the best YouTube channels in the cooking space, I think that may have knocked you down a peg. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, it's good for me. If I can ever sort of find my way on set during a recording, or throw a rock through the window, try to like get my name on it. It opens up opportunities for clout sharking on my part that I'm really looking forward to.
Wait, am I even wrong on that? Is Kenji in Portland, Oregon? Now I don't remember. I know he's up in the Pacific Northwest somewhere. What I said may have been completely wrong.
Oh,
Now
I
I'm
don't
not
even know
sure,
who
but
you're referring to. I was just
even
yes
better.
anding.
Even better.
I
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm just working with it. The only cooking YouTubers that I've enjoyed are Binging with Babish and the that one big corporate one that everyone stopped watching because there were accusations of racism from the manager. God, what was that called? Um,
Oh, I don't know. That one I don't know.
um, Bon Appetit. And then they all
Oh,
split off
okay.
and made their own YouTube channels because everyone got.
No, my
Anyway,
favorites are Kenji and Jacques Pepin.
Jacques Pepin. That is
Yeah,
a Frenchman, I assume.
it is indeed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give
Actually,
it a
he's
look.
Cuban. Would you believe that?
Well, if it came
No,
from
I'm
you,
kidding.
yeah. If it came from a less reputable source, though, you gotta watch yourself. I'll believe anything you say.
No, he is French. I believe he's from Lyon or something like that. Oh, and also Toon Toon for Thai cooking. You can't beat Toon Toon.
Jeez, you're getting me cultured over
Mhm.
here. I'm
Yeah.
really more of a chicken nuggies guy myself, so we're branching out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Do you not cook for your tenants either? I'm sorry, roommates.
Okay, I work and I pay the rent. Okay, these assholes can cook from time to time. No, we
Fair.
we we really don't make that much. We get those what do you call them? HelloFresh.
Yeah.
With like 12 meals a week split between the three of us.
Oh,
And
nice.
those are really good, by the way. I was taken away because they deliver it and then it's like in a box for a bit. I thought it'd be like so. Some of the meals that I've had there are legitimately the some of the best food I've ever had. I can't promote them now though because apparently they did some union busting recently. So just
Oh, wow. I didn't
everyone
hear
ignore
about
what
that.
yeah.
Are you for or against spatchcocking when you do a chicken on the grill?
Spatchcocking. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to help me. Give me a brief description.
It's basically you butterfly the chicken to make it the same thickness throughout in order to have even cooking.
Yes, you have to cut it down. Also, the
Cut it
best
down.
the best cut of chicken, okay, is about a half an inch. Okay, you cut it in half. You smash the chicken a half an inch deep. That's the perfect chicken cut right there.
A half inch deep?
Like yeah, like the thickness is about a half an inch. Once
Oh.
you flattened or butterflied the chicken breast, right?
Oh, you're talking about chicken breast.
Oh, are you talking about thighs?
I'm talking about the entire chicken.
Oh, I see. No, I've never hammered an entire chicken down into a pasty sort of one.
No. You don't need a hammer. You don't need a hammer at all. Listen, I'm going to leave you to investigating spatchcocking, and I'm sure you'll have a strong position on it by the next time we talk.
Oh, I'm sure. I'll learn. I'll give it a shot. I'll share my success or failure story with you. It's been a
But
pleasure
your
speaking with
idea
you.
of just smashing a full chicken into a paste is an interesting one. I've never considered it, but I might.
It's how owls eat things. Okay, just sort of grind
Okay.
it up into a little pellet. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for taking the time.
Ian Vosh, a gentleman and a scholar. Great to speak to you as always.
David Pac-Man. You take care.
All right.
Enjoy the stream, and I'll talk to you eventually.
All right. Very good. Take care.
There you go. That was quite nice, I think. Feel like we had a pleasant conversation there. You cut him off? No, he cut out. He was speaking to. No, I didn't cut him off. He quit mid sentence. He was talking to his audience there. Excuse me. He was live too. Yeah. Good talk. Yeah. No, I like Pac-Man. He's among other things a very funny guy. I think. Um, he's easy to talk to. Uh. Excuse me. Who was that, Vosh? That was David Daniel Pac-Man. You forgot to go on a weird rant at him, though. Oh, yeah, that's right. I should have gone on a weird, unhinged rant. That would have been good, I think. Why does he pronounce Destiny's full name? Feels like weird. No, he just likes saying names. He just likes saying names. Anyway. You know. Holy shit, him calling Argentine communist movements in the 70s tankies when they were a lot of trots is annoying. Who taught the liberals our words? Okay, I'll admit I don't know much about the 1970s Argentinian communist movements. However, having read a little bit into Trotsky, he was a bit of a tanky himself, okay? I saw what he was justifying after the fucking 1917 revolution, okay? I saw him talking about the limitless ability to, you know, weaponize the working class, and you know, they don't need worker democracy, you know. Just because he got killed by Stalin doesn't mean he was that much better. He was just sort of the other bad guy. God, I don't know if I drank the coffee incorrectly. There we go. Why are your political takes so qualitatively imbalanced from your mundane life ones? Jesus fucking Christ. Wait, what did I say? I didn't know what the chicken thing was. What do you want? What do you want? Did you see Perspective Philosophy clout chasing Contra getting owned by Twitter? I don't think that was clout chasing. I think he's just insane. I do appreciate though that so far, like, if a person really dislikes me, it's a really strong indicator that they're mentally unwell. I do quite like that. It feels very validating, you know what I mean? Like, you know how conservatives felt when they found out one of the people Rittenhouse killed was a pedophile? That's how I feel, you know? Like, every time someone's like, I fucking hate Vosh, you know, I blink, I wait a week, and then they're like, you know, absolutely losing it somewhere. For those of you who didn't see, Perspective Philosophy, who's one of those Vouch bad types, in response to Contra saying she doesn't like tofu, said, essentially made fun of her for drug addiction, called her greedy. I mean, he doubled, tripled, quadrupled down. He got so many. Yeah, he's just lost it. He just went off. God. Ah, my throat. Jesus. To be fair, Vosh, I like you. I'm extremely mentally ill. No. When I say they're mentally ill, I mean mentally ill in the bad way. You have to understand. Not in the good way, like you. Yeah, morally mentally ill. Soul food. We'll be talking about that. Don't worry. God, what is with my... Why do... my throat? Jesus. Oh, by the way, I'm asking you guys because I genuinely don't remember. Did Perspective Philosophy not say they were on the left when we talked to him like a year and a half ago while playing Bloodborne? Didn't I could be totally misremembering, but I think I remember him posturing as someone who is ideologically aligned with me. He's a socialist, I think. Okay, you think that too? Isn't he a Marxist? He said he was a socialist. He's not a socialist. His his Twitter is full of right-wing, or at least like centrist skeptic shit. He's not a socialist. I think he just lied to me, like full on just lied just to get me on the he might just be insane. Are you thinking about Rem, the other insane one? No, I'm not thinking about Rem. I don't know. God. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't know why my throat's acting up. Yes. President Sunday. Well, Necro, he might just be unwell. You know how it is. He talked with Destiny about how he's a socialist but didn't want to implement. Yeah, it's not much. Wacky behavior. Is this a gaming stream? No, we're talking politics. Hold on. Why are you apologizing for your throat? Because it's annoying. Well, it's mostly annoying for me because I want to talk about the next segment, but I feel like I'm limited because I'm going to clear my throat a bunch of times. So I'm just sort of waiting for it to clear up a little bit. Galactic Pigeon, of course you're welcome here. No, it's not a lozenge issue, Vermin. It's like I have a bleh. my throat. Pack Dr. D literally right before you, lol. Okay. I saw that. I I did see PAKMAN's stream for just a second because I noticed that it was being hosted on my website, and I saw what looked to be about 30 very uncomfortable seconds of them interacting with each other, and then I hosted my own stream on the site and moved on. So, um, you know. Do you see Destiny's meltdown on Twitter yesterday? Yeah, him mocking Doe for the attempted like he like on Thanksgiving Day, like 20 tweets, 30 like just going off. Everyone's crazy but me. You're all terminally online socialists. You've attempted suicide, blah blah blah. And then eventually he deleted all of his tweets and just posted Happy Thanksgiving. The picture of mental health himself. I hope when he does finally have a mental break, they send a social worker to his door, not a cop, for his sake. I know it'll be scary, but it'll be better for him in the long term. God, what a good fucking meme. Uh, why didn't you mention Destiny during your conflict? I don't care about... It's the... Need I comment every moment on the garbage fire that's been going on for a few months? Also, I'm not, like, fighting over Deepak. I like talking to Deepak. I'll try to schedule more conversations in the future. I don't normally reach out to people. I wanted to talk to Deepak about the Rittenhouse stuff. I actually quite like his perspective. I know we wouldn't agree on everything. You know, I'm more to the left than he is, but I think he's pretty, quite reasonable. So, a happy birthday, Gigs. There we go. Give me a minute more, and then we'll go to the next segment. Just give me a minute to, Even Destiny was making more dono sounds out of things you said. What was the new dono sound? Wait, does he have 2 dono sounds that are my voice? He's just going to rile himself up every time he hears my. Yeah, I get the feeling every time, like he sets it to show how much he doesn't care, but every time he hears one of my dono sounds, he like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I like? Not physically necessarily, but like, you know what I mean? Like they get a little anger twinge. It's not good for you. Not good for you. Deepak always asks Vosh how we get to socialism. Feels like it happened last talk too. Well, I've only talked with him twice. The problem is I always feel like I'm rambling when I talk to Deepak because he's very respectful with letting me finish with my sentence or sentences before he goes on. So I'm self-conscious of taking up too much time, but I would love some time to talk with Deepak just explicitly about socialism, why I want it, and how I think you could bring it about. I would like to, rather than just like a 2-minute bit, but like a full um but that would, that would take some time. That'd be a whole that'd be a whole thing. Yeah, I agree. I'm really important. Yes, I do like talking about worker co-ops. That is true. Excuse me. God. I think the big issue, honestly, is just I'm falling apart. I did not sleep much last night. I'm dying. Guessing is the obsessed proceeds to mention him every stream. Usually I respond to what people in chat have said, but yeah, if Destiny spends 6 hours during a Thanksgiving holiday, a schizo posting on Twitter before nuking everything, I think that's worthy of note. The real difference is that when I mention Destiny, it's because he's done something psychotic, usually in an attempt to get my attention. Whereas when he mentions me, it's if I breathe or sort of exhale, or if I blink particularly hard or in a unique or unusual pattern. I think there's a categorical difference there. Not to mention, he tries to jump on panels with me. He jumps in my Twitch chat to try and badger me. He wants to talk with me. I think there's a huge difference, in that me and my community are usually reactive, whereas he attempts to instigate. He was making fun of your laugh, lol. How desperate do you have to be? Yeah, yeah, he like watches my stream for like hours to get, yeah. Yeah, I think I have quite a nice laugh, actually. Oh yeah, he titled his stream "Finding Ways to Trigger Vosh." Yeah, I think these are categorically different. Um, Evil Destiny be like ignores Vosh, yeah. Um, People got mad at you for this tweet. What tweet? What's even what's even controversial about this? I don't understand. uh, it's just a little meme, as you can see. The I tweeted out something like bigotry has always been one of the greatest obstacles to working class solidarity, and choosing not to oppose it makes you complicit in that division. And somebody quote tweeted it and said, "Wish you'd always believe that." So I responded saying, "Well, I have always been saying." They blocked me, by the way. I said, "I have always been saying this, though." And then they said, "Tactical N-word, kink at pride, need I go on?" And then I said I was saying this back then too. And then they said, "Well, I know you've always said that, but you could have done better, blah, blah, blah." And then I responded with this. And I think it's funny. I'll be keeping it up. Today he said Vosh will never want to talk to me again until his numbers drop too much. Oh, he's inventing scenarios where we would talk again. Oh my goodness. Jeez, man. You know, we were in Tennessee together. If he wanted to talk with me, he could have talked with me. I wasn't standoffish with him in person. If he's really that interested in attention, I mean, God. Anyway, I'll take a look at these quote tweets. Let me see how bad are they. I want to see. Um, so true, King. Oh, this is fine. Not nearly enough people are mad at me as I expected. There we go. Okay, we're fine. No, I know Doctor Strange. Very obsessive. Um. Anyway, what was I saying? It was It was It was Oh yeah, the Kink Pride N-word thing. The VDS stuff I have to deal with sometimes. I actually saw this. Hold on, entertain me for a moment, and then we'll talk about the new COVID strain that will kill us all. The Look at this. So this is what I mean. Unique behavior that I have to deal with. You know the blue pill subreddit? It's like back in the day, the red pill was a subreddit that had a lot of attention, and the blue pill was like the counter subreddit, but the red pill, I think, got banned, so the blue pill isn't really relevant anymore. Okay, look at this, okay? Pinned to this subreddit for, I shit you not, 3 months. Vosh has a very disturbing preoccupation with bestiality and pedophilia master post, not safe for work trigger warning. 3 months it's been pinned to the top of a subreddit that has nothing to do with me. I've never mentioned it. I'm not interacting with it. There's no connection. It's literally just a random, somewhat left-leaning subreddit, and the mods have had this pinned there for 3 months. 74 upvotes because nobody here fucking knows who I am. It has nothing to do with me. Is that not wild? I think it's fucking wild. Can you just imagine, like, you come on my stream and I'm a progressive socialist, and then you look and there are just a cavalcade of random subreddits. It's so strange. I feel like this is very unique. Nobody on the left has ever gotten this treatment, at least in the online um, sort of public reception dealio. It's the mods. The same group of tanky mods are in charge of like 400 lefty subreddits, and they all dislike me. Because I pointed out that because they're tankies, that means they're all pedophiles. With my salient criticism, they were defeated utterly, and they have no choice but to cope. Um, I'm so glad I never got to your size, Lamel. You'd have to work pretty hard to be as despised as me, Merrick. Remember, all of this negative attention only came about after I was anti-Bernie or bust. That was the line. Before that, this wasn't an issue. Why'd you post that Thanksgiving tweet with 2009 furry art? I thought it was funny. I googled sexy turkey furry, and I found one. Just sort of went with that. You think tankies will grow out of it with maturity? Well, there's always a new batch of... No, unfortunately, when you look at online communities like that, they're made up of 90% 13-year-olds and 10% like 46-year-old groomers who have no identity outside of their control of online spaces. So it's you know, there's this massive contrast, you know. Yeah, Merrick, that's really what it was. There's been 13 posts in the blue pill over the last month. No, no, no. I know it's a dead sub. I'm just saying. It's just remarkable. Remarkable behavior. Anyway, hold on. Let's all find out how we're going to die. Hold on. Oh, we're all going to die eventually. Yoink. Ooh, this is bad. You know, I'm not generally a peddler of alarmism on this channel. I don't think it's particularly productive to go down that road. However, I am somewhat alarmed by this information. There's a new COVID variant, I'm afraid, the B.1.1.529. I'm sure it'll get a new name soon. And it is apparently quite infectious. The new COVID variant with unusual constellation of mutations is already more dominant than Delta in South Africa. Oh, the Omicron. Thank you. The Omicron. That's actually extremely scary. Delta is nowhere near as scary sounding as Omicron. Anyhow, it's been found in South Africa. And I'm not a epidemiologist, so I don't know what words mean, but it's very scary, okay? Look at this chart. Look at how scary it is. Be scared. Really, though. Look at that. My God. Proportion of genomes. You can see the B11529 over there, sort of rapidly rising in prominence the way Delta did right there. Which is, of course, not good. We've got this here. A new variant is spreading rapidly in South Africa and appears to be outcompeting other variants much faster than previous variants of COVID did. That's a bit spooky, I think, in my opinion, personally. It's not good. The Dow Jones has seen a significant downturn, I think about 1,000 points, possibly more by now, in reaction to this news. Stocks, oil dropped sharply on concerns over new COVID-19 variant. Now, I personally am not especially invested in the well-being of the stock market, but it's indicative of panic from our shareholders, which is indicative of a number of other things. So let's take a look at this Washington Post article, only 11 minutes old. That's as fresh info you're going to get from an article. A new variant of the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is raising concern around the globe. South Africa on Thursday confirms that scientists here had detected a variant with a high number of mutations that could make it more easily transmissible. On Friday, the World Health Organization labeled it a variant of concern. You can probably guess from the term, but this just means that it's because there have been many COVID variants. This is just one we should be concerned about, hence the term. The classification, it is only given to 4 other variants thus far. It's been given the Greek letter designation Omicron, which is, again, very spooky. Flights have been shut down. Eric Topol, director of the Scripps Research Translational Institute, not entirely sure what that has to do with epidemiology, but I'm no scientist, says, this is the most concerning variant we've seen since Delta. And then we have more information. In South Africa, where just 35% of people are fully vaccinated, the variant has begun to spread rapidly. Rising caseload, low vaccination rate leading to a great number of cases. Several dozen cases have been identified in Botswana, Hong Kong, and Israel. Whoop, too late. But officials from a number of countries warn that the variant may be spreading undetected. The UK reported that while no cases have been detected there, the variant's large number of mutations are likely to be biologically significant. Scripps is a well-known hospital in San Diego. Oh, gotcha. Thank you. So this is all very spooky. Travel restrictions are already being put in place, quarantines, all that fun stuff. Now, somebody did just link me a Twitter thread saying that this is all media sensationalism. That's not impossible. When COVID-19 was first of concern back in late 2019, I also felt that way about COVID-19. This, I never released this video, thank Christ, but you can actually see somewhere back in the stream VODs, me going over some info on the coronavirus spreading in China, and me going like, this will be like the swine flu. This isn't even... They fearmonger about this every goddamn year. I did not release that as a video. Isn't that nice? Well, oftentimes it is just media paranoia, but sometimes it really isn't. Well, let's see. Let's take a look at this thread. If there's one thing I'm going to tell you today, it's to ignore the media and the clickbait headlines on this new variant. There is no plausible scenario. This will take us back to square one, and there's a lot of misinformation currently circulating. Working on a thread now. Just a friendly reminder. Interesting President Sunday. Despite what you might hear, there is yet to be a variant that isn't susceptible to the vaccines. Let's talk about, this is Omicron, clear up some misconceptions, and talk about why it's unlikely it will evade vaccine-induced immunity. Wait, hold on. But hasn't Delta somewhat evaded vaccine-induced immunity? The original COVID variant was basically stopped by the vaccines, but Delta's been much more effective at punching through it. You're still much less likely to die or be hospitalized, but even the Delta variant was somewhat capable of moving through the initial round of vaccines. Yeah, I need to get my booster shot. Why are vaccines unlikely to fully evade... Oh, variants, sorry. Unlikely to fully evade vaccine-induced immunity. Vaccines are polyclonal. Gay words. Nice try. Let's get a few things straight. No one knows if it's more transmissible at this point. Seeing new is 500% more transmissible with no data and maybe a bad interpretation of a graph. Yes, someone is yanking your chain. It's not a new virus, it's a variant. I don't know how much I should trust this. I'm getting low reliability vibes from this. We know it's a variant. And the Delta was able to get through vaccines at least somewhat. Yeah. Who's this person? They have a furry avatar. Okay, it says they're a senior scientist at the Vaccine Research and Development. It doesn't say a center or anything like that. It just says Vaccine Research and Development. And it also says that they're a Scorpio. I don't know what the horoscope signs are. Sorry. I'll have to wait for an article on this one, I'm afraid. I couldn't really say otherwise. Let's see. The graph shows that Omicron looks dangerous because it has no competition. Let's see. Here we go. So we're saying that the figures with the threat of Omicron are being overstated because we are currently... Oh, yeah, let me just zoom that out so you can actually see the bit down there, because they're currently experiencing very few cases in South Africa. To be fair, though, I don't know if this is really a rebuttal, even because this is how the other thing started, wasn't it? You know, you had other variants, then beta, then delta spikes up. I mean, this could very well spike up again, especially at this rate of increase. And the fact that there's now a 30% vaccination rate here, whereas back here there wouldn't have been. So you'd think, yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is something worth being a bit concerned about, personally. Somebody in chat is saying this person is trustworthy. We have Eric Feigl Ding, or Dr. Eric Ding, epidemiologist and health economist, senior fellow at the FA Scientists. And something Harvard. How nice. My God, the new variant being possibly 500% more competitively infectious is the most staggering stat yet. Also, the new variant has more than 2 times the number of bad spike mutations than Delta. Here's update. Well, that looks scary. Oh, well, he's posting this graph too, it seems. Well, here. I'm just going to say this. That's new, not Omicron. That's Omicron. That's it. There is, of course, this is absolutely a wait and see scenario. Okay, I'm not an epidemiologist, and we're dealing with headlines that are referring to information that is like 24 hours old. So I don't think anyone has a full understanding of what's happening right now. However, let's hedge our bets and prepare for the worst, okay? Let's assume, for the purposes of what I'm about to say, that there is a new variant that's on the way. It is too late to stop its global spread, and that it will be significantly more transmissible than previous variants, okay? I want to make a couple of points, okay? First of all, even if your infection was guaranteed, getting vaccinated still significantly decreases the likelihood of you needing to go to the hospital or dying. Massively so. Even if you are to get COVID, the effects on your body will be much less severe, overwhelmingly so if you are vaccinated. So please get your vaccinations, get your booster shot. I need to get my booster shot. I don't leave the house that often, so I'm relatively safe, but still. Additionally, wear masks. Why is it important to wear masks, even in a scenario where it's virtually guaranteed everyone will get sick? Well, wearing masks slows the rate of transmission because it catches the microscopic bits of fluid that you expel from your mouth when you speak, cough, whatever, nose as well, sneeze, that sort of thing, which carry the coronavirus. And you want to slow the rate of infection because the more people get infected faster, the more our hospitals fill up. And the more our hospitals fill up, the more that A, people won't be able to get medical care they need if they need it, and B, you inhibit the functionality of these hospitals with regards to other things. Like right now, in some parts of the country, it's really difficult to get anything done at a hospital, not just coronavirus related stuff, anything. All the hospital beds are filled up with people who are sick with COVID. So what are you supposed to do if you have a stroke or some other ordinary medical condition? You have to travel a great distance. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes there are people who are dying in their homes because they can't. Like, it is essential to slow the rate at which new people are infected. Hence, masks are so valuable. And trust me, I hate wearing them. I despise wearing them. I have a beard. It bunches up. It makes my mustache hairs curl inward and tickle my face, and it makes the crunches this bit, and then this bit flares out. It's dumb. I hate it, but it's socially useful, okay? Listen, if this Omicron variant is as bad as some seem to think it is, then our worst fears might be realized. That we might be dealing with an interminable element of life now, that this is just the new normal, a thing that we're just going to have to get used to, at least for a time. They can continue to provide us vaccines and they can continue to give us booster shots, but it will never fully immunize us, especially if there are new variants coming about. But let me say this, okay? While things are looking a little bleak now, potentially, if the conditions I'm speaking of end up being true, I have a tremendous amount of faith in human ingenuity and in our capacity to solve problems that confront our species. Now, do I trust politicians, political systems? No, God, not with anything. But doctors, okay? Pharmaceutical technicians, engineers, the geniuses, the brightest minds of our generation working tirelessly to uh, to detect and respond to and eliminate disease. I do trust them. I do. Seriously, I do. The mRNA vaccine process is a spectacular thing, isn't it? Do you know how long it used to take to make vaccines? And then we were able to get one put out in what was it, 9 months? Was it less than 9 months? How long did it take? Not very long, not with the mRNA process. And they ended up being pretty remarkably effective, too. It is, there are issues with distribution, with the politics. There are issues with people who won't get vaccinated. And it's going to be a whole political talking point, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. Again, assuming what I'm saying is true. But humanity thrives best under times of crisis, you know? It's like how we get those big booms in technological innovation whenever there's a war on. You know, World War II, bad stuff. Wouldn't want to do it again. But a remarkable number of technologies were invented as a product of human necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention. And this time we are fighting a war not against you know, the nasty Germans, but against disease, which is also bad. We should and unlike the Germans, we will eradicate the disease. We let the Germans live. Yes, we did. Messed up Berlin a bit. Bit of a fuss in Dresden, but you know, we let them stay. Now, as for the COVID vaccine, we will eradicate it. And as a German, I say thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. God, how do I stop being depressed over this? I'll tell you how. Okay. If this ends up being as bad as some people are saying it is, there is a decent likelihood that you guys are going to get COVID at some point. Borderline inevitable, maybe. But if you are highly vaccinated, if you minimize your viral load by wearing a mask, meaning that if you do come into contact with COVID, you do so minimally. If you keep up with your booster shots, if you take care of your, you know, of yourself, you may get it, be sick for a little while, finish, not experience a tremendous amount of discomfort, not suffer any long-term consequences, and then you can enjoy at least some time period of boosted immunization. I know it's difficult, but try to think of this positively, okay? Maximize your potential and be thankful that you live in an era where we're even capable of fighting against this stuff. The faster these COVID mutations come out, the faster our pharmaceutical technicians are going to be making vaccines for them. We already have the basic vaccine out, don't we? The Pfizer, the Moderna, what have you. They're going to modify and improve on them faster and faster and faster. Every time edited, modified, improved with fewer trials necessary to reach appropriate levels of FDA approval, because the base works, so slight alterations require not as much consideration as an entirely new product. There are geniuses defending us, okay? So do try to take some solace in that. In the meantime, keep yourself safe. As terrible as this is, as frightening as this can be, we are quite privileged to live in this era. Okay? So take some optimism in that, you know? This isn't the Black Plague. We're not going to spend 2 centuries in Europe, marking houses with the blood of sheep to let people know there are infected inside. We're not going to have people with corpse wagons rolling through villages that you have to pile your family members onto. Uh, we have people that we can rely on. Yet. Yet. Probably won't. Probably not. Nice. Do we feel perhaps a little bit more okay? Trying to infuse you all with a little bit of optimism. Um, we'll have to see. Actually, there are some people in chat who are asking whether or not this new strain is making me feel more authoritarian. It might actually be making me feel less. The more these mutations develop, the less comparative advantage there is for the vaccinated to live in the presence of the unvaccinated. You know what I mean? To speak a little bit through allegory, it's like if there's going to be like if there's going to be like a tide rising, and it's going to like flood your island, and it's a 1 foot tide, you need everyone to build that 2 foot wall, don't you? Everyone to build that 2 foot wall. You need to build that 2 foot wall, absolutely, or the island's flooded. You're going to lose the foundations inland. But if it's a 10-foot wave coming, and you can't build a 10-foot wall, it suddenly becomes a lot less important to be building anything, really. You should still be getting people to get vaxxed. It's best for everyone, but optically and practically, there's less utility in pressing on the vaccine mandates when it seems like the constantly evolving mutations are going to barrel through everyone anyway. So to put it another way, continue to be very mean to people who won't get vaccinated and make fun of them. But I probably won't talk about it like a ton. We'll have to see how this develops. Yeah. Right, Rivera Life, but in South Africa, right? I mean, eventually, like, it is true that vaccinated people aren't as likely to be the petri dish for any future mutations because it doesn't broil in our body as much. But man, with the global, like, how many people worldwide are even vaccinated? If I'm like, hey, Americans, get your vaccinations, you don't know if you're going to be the person to spawn a new COVID variant. And then, like, 6 consecutive new variants all come from, like, Bangladesh, India, South Africa, Mali, you know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, how do I... I feel like the argument holds less weight. We do all need these vaccines, though. Isn't South Africa kind of developed? It depends on where you are. Yeah, global vaccine distribution is essential. I'm just saying that it's really about which talking points to focus on. The vaccinated are still protected? No. Well, not protected. You're less likely to get sick, and you're far less likely to get severely sick if you do get sick. But it's not an immunization, you know. Um, about half the world with at least 1 dose. There are parts of the world that are never going to get a dose. That's kind of blackpilling, isn't it? You know, like there are parts of Africa, Southeast Asia, Central America where they're just absolutely never going to get a vaccine. It's not like the whole world is polio vaccinated, after all. Do vaccines reduce the spread? I've seen contrary info on that. I've seen some people saying vaccines don't even reduce the spread anymore, but then I've seen other people calling those people idiots. I think vaccines reduce the spread a lot, but not as much as they did before Delta came out. Like, it's still useful and valuable, because even when you're sick, you have a lower viral load, which means that you're not as prone to infect people around you. But if you're vaccinated, you can still absolutely be a vector to other people. Which is a shame. Well. Oh, that's right. Hold on 1 quick second. I actually wanted to do a little bit of a shout out. This isn't a segment or anything. Just me pointing something out. Since Rose Wrist is in chat, So there's a phenomenon that I've experienced over the past couple of years as I've grown larger and larger on YouTube, and it's that I can't respond to all the criticism that I get, you know? One of the criticisms that I get all the time, usually from smaller like Nazi or race realist accounts or, you know, whatever, is that I'm cucked and incorrect on race realism. You know, of course. I mean, obviously they would say that, you know. And they'll like find some stream segment where I talk about it, and then they'll go through like 20 articles and they'll piece it apart or whatever. And anyway, there's a YouTuber called Ubersoy, which I think is a little prescient, name wise, you know. Um Great name, really. But no, don't boost this one. Oh, we're not, don't worry. Anyway, somebody linked me that video at some point, and I looked at it. It was one of those videos where it was like, you know, it would take me a decent amount of time to go through it and debunk it, but these accounts really aren't worth the trouble because, like, the mainstream science agrees with me anyway. So I feel like, and I'm not a scientist, you know? I'm not at my best when I'm advocating against race realism. I'm a sociology major. It's just, you know, I'd have to dig through and I'd have to Google, like, oh, what does this type of regression mean? And blah, blah, blah. It takes so much time. And they get attention either way, so they win no matter what. So thankfully, Rose Wrist, in his eternal wisdom, actually did respond. And it was actually a lovely response. I watched it all yesterday, or the day before yesterday. One of the two. Hold on. Oh, I should probably unmute YouTube.
We will be debunking this video by race realist Ubersoy, titled Vosh is wrong about race and IQ, and in fact be demonstrating why it is Ubersoy that is wrong about race and IQ.
Look at that. Turn that one around. Anyway, I think that Rose Wrist is a phenomenal content creator. I've had him on before. His video got a little dislike brigaded, I think. So you guys should go over there and do the opposite of that, okay? First of all, we need to reward this behavior of oh, here, I'll help there. We need to reward the behavior of people accepting, you know, the responsibility of defending my takes against criticism. Oh, nice, Professor Sunday. I'll have to give it a look. Oh, yeah, here, I'll link you. There you go, you fools. There, I'll link it in there. I'll link it in YouTube chat. I'm being very helpful. Anyway, the majority of the video actually isn't handled by Rose Wrist. It's actually handled by Kevin Bird, who is a huge nerd, a PhD candidate for some kind of science. See? Look. Got glasses and everything. And a fucking sweater over a button-up shirt? My god. I can feel the IQ. Here, wait. Let me just get his intro too, since I got Rose in as well. Hold on.
Trying to... So, in the first section of this video, most of the evidence is trying to paint some sort of causal relationship between genes and intelligence, then make that connection to race.
Which is cringe. Anyway, it's very, very good. Oh wait, no, I think the intro there was done by Rose Wrist. Hold on.
Luckily, I have a phone a friend line. So without further ado, I will now be introducing geneticist PhD candidate Kevin Bird to go over the remainder of this video, and I'll see you guys back at the very end.
A geneticist. It's about as prescient as you can get, isn't it? Anyway, watch the video. I think it does a spectacular job tackling some of the higher-end stuff concerning race realism. It's probably a debunk to most every point that you're going to hear. They also make a couple of good rhetorical digs. Not rhetorical, I guess, more logical. The point being that, and this is something I've noticed a lot too, in Ubersoy's video, he says that I, Vouch, am the left spokesperson for anti-race realism. No, I'm fucking not. What? I am woefully undereducated on the physical sciences. How the fuck am I? I've just talked about it a bit because no. What? But Kevin in the video points out that the goal with speech like that is to make me environmentalism's representative, which means that if you can take me down, you've taken down all of anti-race realism, you know, that sort of thing. Anyway, give the video some likes. In fact, I'm actually going to hold you guys to it. We're brigading today, okay? I want to see a larger, let's hit 500. Get over there, watch the video. I think it's very good. it's quite a bit more technical than I could ever hope to be, which makes sense because I'm not a PhD candidate geneticist. So, you know, that's not a skill set. Oh, we landed right on 500. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Anyway, seriously, subscribe to Rose Wrist. He makes really good content. Of course, this is mostly Kevin's content, but you should still. You can see the dislikes. Yeah, it's because I have, I think, YouTube Red or YouTube Premium or whatever it's called. I preferred it when it was called YouTube Red. That was my preference. Isn't even sub to Rose. I don't sub on this account. I have another account. Fine, I'll sub. I have another account. This is not the account that I use to choose the stuff that I watch to. All right. YouTube Red sounds like a porn site is the problem. That is true. I got it too and I can't see it. It might then be because I'm a verified user. It might be because I'm a verified user. If you have a large enough channel, you can get verification. It's like at 100,000 subs or 250,000 or whatever. Yeah. I have no idea. I have no idea. Anyway, it's a good video. Okay, it's a good video. Highly technical. I have no idea. I have no idea. Well, anyway. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, President Sunday. I'll have to give it a look. Sounds like some giga memes. Hold on. Second Thought is being tanky cringe right now. He started a podcast with Hakeem, and the videos he released involved conflating the Democratic/Republican parties as two fascist parties. Oh no. Have I ever talked to Second Thought? I just don't understand what's so difficult about not denying genocides. I don't know why. I don't know why that's so hard. He platformed Bay Area ML a while back. Really? Bay Area ML has always been a fucking clown. Seriously? Ooh, that's disappointing. Well, it's just as well. I don't know if I've ever even watched a Second Thought video, so it's not like I have a huge level of personal investment. Let's just hope people watch these videos that he puts out, get the anti-capitalism bit, and then don't become fucking weird tanky shitters or something. Just hope for the best, okay? People were pissed and he didn't acknowledge it at all. Yeah. As the one good leftist, I'm happy to never disappoint you all with the choices of what I do with my content. Okay, we're not ignoring this last bit. Hold on. Okay, so I talked about Dave Chapelle a little while ago, and when I was criticizing some of the bad humor and transphobia in his last stand-up, you know, I kind of had to temper what I was saying with the acknowledgement that Dave Chapelle is a really funny guy, and I legitimately do think that humor is something of a defense that you can employ when you make problematic statements. You know, if you're gonna say something shitty, at least make it funny. Okay, I do believe that. Call me a edgelord, whatever. I believe it. You know, but I don't have to reserve any of my behavior or any of my criticisms here because this is the cringiest thing that I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay, so and I'm not kidding you here. Dave Chapelle unprompted, stopped at his former high school to question teenagers as to why they didn't like him because he was problematic. Dave Chapelle. Listen, this is a quote from the full article. This is just excerpts from the article, okay? Here's a quote. "He could tell we were nervous," said one of the students we spoke with. "It was a huge power imbalance of this grown man and his camera crew, and these 14 to 18-year-olds without their phones, just high school kids. Students had to lock their phones in special pouches beforehand to prevent recordings." That's right. He took their phones so that he would have complete control over any narrative to come out from it. This is honestly so absurd that it's difficult for me to even reconcile with my belief that Dave Chapelle has not completely lost the plot, which I might have to review after this. He went to a high school to challenge high schoolers when he has a camera crew there and they had their phones taken away. This is honestly worse than what Ben Shapiro does. Ben Shapiro is famous for getting snippy little debate quotes off with college students, and at least there they're allowed to keep their phones so he can't edit his way around it. Dave Chapelle has so little faith in his ability to defend himself that he seeks out a high school. Can you imagine? Why? What? And I know what he's doing here. The goal of Dave Chapelle here is to come off like this strong, stable adult, while the kids are like these triggered Zoomer snowflakes. Listen to these excerpts from this. This is insane. He made a surprise. These are just little bits. The self-proclaimed goat hoped to smooth things over amid the backlash over his jokes about trans people. He was in for a surprise of his own. About 580 students packed into the auditorium. With a camera crew in tow, Chapelle took to the stage with a raucous reception of cheers and some boos, and the hour-long session went south from there, we're told. During a Q&A session, one student stepped to the mic and called Chapelle a, quote, bigot, adding, "I'm 16 and I think you're childish. You handled it like a child." From the mouth of babes comes wisdom, it seems. According to two students present, the comments were confirmed by Chapelle's spokesperson, Carla Sims, because again, none of the students were allowed to record. Chapelle responded, as recalled the next day by the students, "My friend, with all due respect, I don't believe you can make one of the decisions I have to make on a given day." What a cope response. "Hey, I think you're behaving like a child." "You couldn't do what I do." Was he drunk? What a pussy. He's a fucking comedian. What? In response to another antagonistic question, Chapelle roughly told the student body, keep in mind these aren't direct quotes because this is being retold by other people later. "I'm better than every instrumentalist artist, no matter what art you do in this school right now. I'm better than all of you. I'm sure that will change. I'm sure you'll be household names soon." I bet these last two sentences were spoken sarcastically. I just have a feeling that's the case. Jesus. Can you imagine? "Why don't you like my comedy? I tell the funny jokes. You couldn't do what I do. I'm better than all of you." Is this inebriation? Seriously, this is soy. This is incredibly cringe. You seek out the weakest audience in the world. The weakest audience there is. And you still can't let them record it, and you still come off acting like that. The students recalled that another student in the audience shouted at him, "Your comedy kills." Damn, these are some woke kids. And Chapelle shot back, "N-words are killed every day." He then asked, "The media's not here, right?" It's like, I said this before when I talked about his comedy, but he seems to think there's something incompatible between being a progressive and being anti-racism. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, okay, so does he think it's okay that black people are killed every day? If he's going to draw an equivalence between his comedy and systemic racism, then that's bad. Like, what? See, how is he losing to high schoolers here? He's losing this. One disturbed parent, the two students we spoke to declined to go on the record out of fear from retribution at the school. Yeah, of course, obviously. especially if their names get published, all the fucking fans. The father of one of the students, who also declined to speak publicly to protect the identity of his daughter, said, "As a parent, I have to say I have a real problem. He was being dead serious and using the N-word on the record. What kind of judgment is the school showing to allow that?" Sims, the Chapelle spokesperson, responded, "They're complaining he's talked and said the N-word. If anything, Dave is putting the school on the map." What? Chapelle has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Duke Ellington and brought A-list celebrities such as Bradley Cooper and Chris Tucker to its campus. So like, this is the spokesperson, too. This isn't even Dave Chappelle being his usual irreverent. This is like, well, we've given you money. You should be grateful for us. Jesus fuck. Yeah, I'm surprised Chappelle didn't wander on down to like a kindergarten class, Like, he's like, what do you woke millennials hate about my comedy? Haha, trans women are men. And then one of the kindergartners shits themselves, and Chappelle gets really angry and throws a chair at them. Something like that. I don't know. The two students who spoke to Playbook said they were afraid to speak up at the assembly because Chappelle often laughed at students' questions or responded with jokes. If he's going to respond with jokes or laugh at their questions, why the fuck did he even do this? Like, what is his goal here? It's just to get, like, because they had their camera crew there, he's going to compile this into some sort of SJW's owned compilation, some sort of ego-stroking Joker moment where he is, braving the spotlights of the school auditorium while he bullies children. At one point after a student left the assembly room, Chappelle singled her out by saying, "Of course she left early." Nice. According to the student, Chappelle seemed to soften up as he wound down. Turning to the camera, he spoke out against death threats some students have received since protesting him. Okay. The school has responded by increasing security and barring students from leaving campus for lunch. What? Do you think you might be the root of this a little bit, possibly? His whole tone changed. He said, "This is my family, and whether they know it or not, I love these kids. I don't want to hear about any threats to these kids. These kids don't deserve that." Is this just like some sort of narcissistic power trip? This really sounds like a drunk, sociopathic wine mom who alternates between punching down at her children and adoringly, affectionately appreciating them, so they have to reciprocate or they'll feel bad. Like really weird shit. "He was really kind," the student added. "If only he'd acted that way the whole time. There was no reason to be mean to us. He was just laughing at kids." Spectacular stuff here. These were just some segments from the whole damn thing. I could read out the whole article out loud. The school postponed an event to name its theater after him amid concern about student reactions. He said these kids deserve an F for forgiveness, Sims said, "but give them space to grow." What forgiveness? What forgiveness? Were you coming here for forgiveness? What did you do to indicate that? What did you plead for it? How would you even, how do they know? These kids are probably there, like, getting insulted by this grown-ass man, and they're thinking, "Well, he just came here to be a cunt." And then later he's like, "Well, they didn't forgive me, but hopefully they reflect in their behavior." They're like, what? When did you suggest you want forgiveness? What? No, he's saying the kid should be forgiven by his fans? Is that the implication? I don't think anything about this paragraph suggests they're referring to the kids who are sending death threats to the other kids. Give them space to grow. They're going to say things that are immature. I think Sims is referring to the kids in the auditorium. It's bad either way. Look, this is incredibly cringe. Can we just call this what it is? Look, we can act like, high horse ivory tower types and denounce it for its morally bad, this, that, or the other. But, like, holy shit. Chapelle is supposed to be the picture of, like, principled when he needs to be, irreverent at all other times, like, devil couldn't care, edgy comedy. And absolutely none of that is reflected in finding a bunch of high schoolers to hold as a captive audience so you can ridicule them for not immediately and unconditionally loving you. It's actually more malicious than any like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder type shit I've seen. Ben Shapiro is relatively innocuous. He schedules an event at a college which nobody is obligated to attend. They're all adults at the college. They can bring their phones, you know. Steven Crowder just sits in a desk somewhere outside, you know. Dave Chapelle had to corral a bunch of babies together into a baby pen and beg them for forgiveness in his own unique way by being mean to them. Absolutely psychotic shit. Absolutely psychotic shit, seriously. Andrew Yang defending him? Why would you die on this hill, man? Oh, God. Here we go. The press hit job on his visiting his high school is awful. Successful alum who fundraises for school returns, speaks to students, gives everyone a free meal. Oh, yeah. That was the issue, Andrew Yang. That he returned, spoke to people, and gave people a free Thanksgiving meal. Clearly, that's the issue people are taking with this. What a disingenuous fuck. Andrew Yang is just trying to appeal to the century anti-SJW independent crowd who likes Chapelle but isn't fully Republican or Democrat. Like, geez, like that's clearly not the thing that people got angry with him over. Oh yeah, here's him shilling. And he's sucking up to like celebrity endorsements, yeah. Really disgusting behavior. Extremely cringe. I don't know. It's just so pathetic. I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than it's brain cucked. You know? Like Dave Chappelle's brain is cucked, you know? Like the brain has a brain wife and the brain gets off on watching someone else fuck the brain wife. I don't know what else to say. It's just displays such a remarkable lack of emotional maturity. Well, anyway. I thought Yang was trying to be nonpartisan. No, of course not. That's why he goes on Tucker Carlson. It's not about being nonpartisan. It's about trying to bait people over from the left to the center. Anyway. That's enough. This goober behavior is not appreciated. Fucking goober behavior. Absolutely disgusting. Wait, hold on. Who's this person who keeps Doomer posting in my chat? I was going to see if I should ban them. Just a moment. Where is it? Where is it? Where are they? Their name has a J in it. Maybe even two J's. I'll get you yet. Why can't I find you? Why can't I find you? I swear I saw you. I was only looking at white names there. I'm pretty sure they weren't subbed. Oh, that's it. Hold on. Thank you. The Gestapo have found them. All right, hold on. Vosh, why even care about the progress or well-being of humanity at this point? I don't know, Vosh. Your optimism kind of pisses me off. Let's see. You should... Oh, they spam a lot. Hold on. Astonished devs. You played Metroid Prime. Alright, here's my prescription. Juasi. Okay? It's that you need to chillax. But I will ban no one, okay? I didn't know if you were spam doomer posting, but honestly, it mostly just looks like you're having a rough time. I love you, okay? Take care. Without ban. There we go. The court has ruled. We choose mercy today. Everyone hug Dressy. Go forth. You said their name wrong? I have no doubt that I did. Yes, there we go. Let the positivity reign. Well, this was meant to be a short stream. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't actually want to stream at all today, but I only did because I woke up to a DM from David PAKMAN saying that he would be down to speak today. And I'm very glad that I did speak to him and covered 2 other segments of immediate note. So let me quickly read these donos. It's a half-length stream, so there aren't many. And then after that, I'm going to send you all off to, let's say, Demon Mama? Oh, wait, hold on. Isn't there supposed to be a big debate in like 4 minutes? On Oh right, DM is still banned, that's right. On Dylan's, the Hippie Dippies. Send us off to Amaranth. Well, that's an option. Shoe on Head versus CTV. Wait, okay. Is Shoe on Head versus CTV happening first? Or is it Destiny and Jake, and then Shoe versus CTV? Which happens first? Shoe and CT is the undercard? Okay, I don't know what undercard means, but I'm going to guess that means it's first. Okay, you guys do want to see Shoe and CTV debate, right? Hold on really quickly. I just want to make sure that we don't miss that, because I want you guys to watch that. I'm sure it's going to be very funny. But so far, Dylan's not even streaming, so we probably have a bit of time. Let me run through these donos. Morgana, thank you for the very kind $5. You know how thirsty Sake is for OK Buddy? That's how thirsty I am to meet your reptiles. You'll have to wait until we're past winter. Reptiles are not particularly mobile during the winter. They're just cold and they just sort of sit there, you know? Christopher Metcalf, Dumb Bunny, and Parker, thank you for the $5 all. I really, really appreciate that. Are you aware of PAKMAN's cringe take in the Israel-Palestine conflict? I've had several disagreements with PAKMAN on Israel-Palestine, also on the Bolivia situation. With regards to foreign policy, I'm sure we have some significant differences. But I don't see much of a point in, you know, attacking over it. Doesn't really seem relevant. Emilia Astarte and David Henley, thank you for the $5 both. I really appreciate that. I've tried playing Two Steps from Eden. It's just, it's a bit complicated for me. Maybe I'll try it again. I'm kind of an idiot. Kelly Tessie and Jesse on Fire, thank you for the incredibly kind $10 both. I really appreciate that. You say you support human ingenuity with vaccine and masks, but you ridicule ivermectin and bleach drinkers. Are these brave scientists not equally ingenious? A good point. The ingenuity of people injecting bleach into their autistic child's asshole or whatever the fuck it is they do. Appreciate your honest takes on Rittenhouse. Great way to solidify credibility. When you see left-wing outlets take uninformed or dishonest takes, what's the best way to try and rectify it? Really depends on the take. There's always going to be some range of expected dishonesty or framing when it comes to any media take. What I care about most is leading you guys in a direction that I think is positive. That's the thing that I care about most. That's the most I can do, you know. Puff Puff and Still Alive, thank you for the $5 from Puff Puff, the $15 from Still Alive. Puff Puff, congratulations on 2 weeks clean of self-harm. I hope you enjoyed the peanut butter brownies. That is awesome to hear. Take care of yourself and know that we're all rooting for you. Seriously. And Still Alive, thank you for the $15. I really appreciate that. Yes, Cynical Historian has made a video suggesting we enter a new progressive era, similar to when Teddy Roosevelt took up power and broke up the monopolies. I think that's perfectly agreeable. If there's anything we need right now, it's trusted monopoly busting. Please, God. I haven't seen the video, though, but I do like some of his Cynical Historian's content. Quite good. TS Millennial Girl, thank you for the 2 consecutive Tier 1 subs. Thank you very, very much. I know that, TS Millennial Girl. I just think that there's more nuance to that discussion. People generally find cops scarier. Zigabiz, thank you for the Tier 3 sub. Yes, happy to talk to David PAKMAN. Fred Jetrink, thank you for the Tier 1 sub. Hello over to Austria. Sorry, I was about to say Australia. Thank you very much. David Pina and the Chaos Card, thank you for the $10 both. I really, really appreciate that. I agree, the Chaos Card. Ever plan to play D&D on stream? Probably not. I get a bit nervous. Stench Skate and 13 Own Metal, thank you for the $5 both. I really, really appreciate that. How does my autism affect me? I just tend to get obsessive over things. I've talked about it at a few points in the past. It gets a bit extensive, but it's not too personal for me at all. Yeah, it is annoying, 13 of metal. Ardry, thank you for the incredibly kind $20 donation. I really appreciate that. Hey, Vosh, showed my mostly Trump-supporting family your entire Rittenhouse Tucker interview segment, and it went pretty well. Not a bad Thanksgiving. Nice! I'm really happy to hear that. Seriously, when I hear people say, hey, I was able to show my conservative family this bit of yours and they were cool with it, that is so gratifying, you know? I know there are a lot of conservatives online who have a knee-jerk hatred of me, but I really do think that, like, if you leave aside the preconceptions, there's a lot of agreeability there. Texture issues, noise sensitivity, and yelling are probably your most autistic behaviors. Oh yeah, I also have, I think, pretty pronounced echolalia sometimes, where you have a compulsion to repeat something somebody else has said. Every time the cats meow, I meow with them. Every single time. A few other things like that. It's never been, like, compulsive to the point that I can't help but do it or whatever. But I do like meowing with them. That's so awesome, though. Wait, that's an autism thing? I think that echolalia can correlate to autism, yeah. Did you see Jay Foreman, the Matman guy, saw you went over his videos and liked it? Holy shit, really? Ah! It didn't even occur to me they'd have a Twitter, the fucking Matman.
Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad. Boss bad, boss bad, boss bad.
There we go. How to do a proper follow there. There we go. Why are we validating British people? The best British people. Only the best. That's nice. Layman on the Bubble, thanks the very kind $5. Saw a clip of you talking about JonTron and his behavior. It reminded me of a theory that H-Bomb had where John might be a substance abuser. Thoughts? I have no idea. I have no evidence for or against that whatsoever. He might know stuff that I don't know. Welcome to the world with the insanely kind $50 donation. Thank you so much. You should comment on the DPAC/Destiny debate. DPAC basically makes your points the entire time about how Destiny doesn't care about anything in strawmans. As interesting as I think it would be, and I do think it would be good content. I do think it would. The issue is just like, I feel like I've already got Destiny pinned, you know? Everything that I've had to say about him has been true and continues to be true, and he's not changing. It's just spite. You know what I mean? It just feels very much... Oh, gotcha, Vermin. Gotcha. It just feels like, you know, sort of a done deal. You know what I mean? Look, I've said this before, I'll say it again, but the issue is that at the end of the day, with regards to why I do what I do, there are a number of reasons. It's a career, obviously, it pays my bills. I'm emotionally satisfied by my wonderful community. I'm intellectually satisfied by the work I have to do. I'm ethically satisfied by the work I feel I must do, you know. There's a lot that goes into it. But I've always warned against people who participate in this sort of thing as a form of intellectual masturbation, where the primary objective of their behavior is to maximize their sense of, you know, intellectual gratification, of feeling smarter than other people. That ultimately, it's not about the ethics or the politics of the situation. It's instead just about satiating their desire to express dominance over others. You know, in whatever elocution, whatever rhetorical form they prefer. And the issue with that is that in Destiny's case, I think especially, but is broadly the case as well, you can get that satisfaction without being correct. Like, if you're only trying to satiate an emotional need, you don't have to take correct positions, and you don't have to take good positions either. It's flippant, it's spurious, you know. If you're driven primarily by a need to satiate your intellectual, you know, grandstanding, you can be moved to anything. which is why Destiny used to not be so performative, but now when he talks about lefties, he does this Joker laugh, calling down from the high heavens. This is the problem with you. Like the spite dripping from his voice, the bitterness. It's because it's all part of the the sort of substitute way of achieving those emotional needs that he has. But that criticism that I've just said, that's the whole Deepak Destiny debate summed up. I could watch any video of his and that would be what I have to say. So there's not really much of a point in going over it at length. I'm right here and I'll never not be, so it's universally applicable. Cautionary Taylor, thank you for the 690. Really appreciate that. Yeah, maybe. Bondrude Best Dad, thank you for the incredibly kind $10. Dave Chappelle goes to a high school and gets childish, proceeds to act like a child. Yeah, we'll see. We can, yeah, he'll get a house next to J.K. Rowling. Count of Paint, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. Enjoying your content. Happy to see someone able to elaborate on what I think and feel, but unable to express properly. That's the goal, isn't it? A lot of us have, I think that we have pretty rich internal lives and thoughts on a lot of issues, and the act of speaking them into existence and recognition is an entirely different skill set, I don't think the ideas that I have are uniquely intelligent or whatever. I just think that I'm particularly good in expressing them. But that's not really like a sign of intelligence. That's just a element of charisma. So it's, it's adjacent, but only dogs can judge me. It's the tier 1 sub. Vosh, get your friggin' babies a heating lamp or pad. What's wrong with you? We have one. You can see it right there. That white bit right there. I just don't have it on when I stream, but it's pretty warm in here because my body heat plus the computer exude a lot of heat. But that right there, that white bar is a UV lamp, which gives nutrients, vitamin D and such. And that one right there is the heating lamp, and that's just 100 watts. Yeah. But yeah, we have that. What did somebody just say? What is the purple art on the wall? What? Purple artwork, the one with the person who has blue eyes. You mean this? He's wearing sunglasses. That's from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. It's one of my favorite artists when I go to Anime Expo. Anyway, only dogs can judge me. Wait, I just did that one. Norm Kelly, thank you for the $5. Richard Hart, I don't really know who Richard Hart is, so I couldn't say. Cilia, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Love you very, very much. And I love the way I cover drama too. Midnight Insomni, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Catbug, A Space Whale, Any, and Catser, thank you all for the tier 1 subs. I really appreciate that. A quick run through on the linkers, and then after that I am running through. Sake Tanuki with the incredibly kind $10. Thank you very much. This is a 1 minute long clip, and it's from, at least heavily from, South Park. No, this isn't edited enough. Sake! Why? Even the audio.
All the bright colors.
Maybe?
Look at all the bright colors.
Nah, Xbox, Mom and Dad are Okay. But what are you watching?
Honestly, fuck the Constitution too. Did you know the word poggers doesn't appear once in the U.S. Constitution? This is not a document that represents the will of its population. But
Bosh bad.
there are a lot of 10-year-olds who do stuff worthy of death. There are like 10-year-old like gang
We can
boss.
go play the game downstairs. Isn't that better than watching some guy?
Collaborators. Yeah, Killua. How many people has Killua killed? I'm just saying. If I see you in DC, can I say hi? If I'm in DC and I'm walking out to get my Uber or anything else, and anyone approaches me or says anything to me, I will shoot them. True. Thank you, Sake. Emp Tancred, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Erdogan is destroying my country, Turkey. Should Turkey have a revolution? Isn't the issue with Turkey is that you guys keep having revolutions? You have, like, your military, like, does its thing. Like, you have this thing where the military is like, yeah, we're going to defend the Constitution by replacing the Maybe you guys need less revolutions. No, Erdogan sucks. Yeah, it's not the cool type of revolution. Yeah. Center Spiral, thank you so much for the insanely kind $25 donation. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was shared by David Dole on the Rational National. The community needs awareness and support. What is this? Oh yes, the Wet'suwet'en shit is heating up. Dramatic video shows militarized Canadian police raid Wet'suwet'en land defenders and journalists.
Canada, the 400-mile.
Breaking down the door.
Get out here.
Breaking down the door.
Loving, tolerant Canada purging the Indigenous yet again. Yes, this is definitely something which needs to be looked into. I'll try to look into it before next stream. Glow170 with a tier 2 sub, thank you. I went through the grueling process of getting a gun license in my country, going to the range tomorrow for the first time, the guns. Hey, nice! Oh, this is, whenever I see this gun, I just think of Bond. Wasn't this the pistol that Bond used back in the Pierce Brosnan days? Right? The lower one, not the Glock. Yeah, the Walther PPK. Dude, do you think I should get... Is that a good concealed... It's not a Glock, sorry. Glock-esque. The Walther PPK. Honest to God, they're pretty good concealed carry guns, isn't it? Yeah. Still one of the most sought-after concealed carry guns in the market. How cool is that, though? It's so bad. Is it a bad... They're 22, though? You could probably find one that chambers 9mm. Or 380, yeah. Yeah, 380. They're kind of bad. They're the Bond gun. Okay, I don't care. Good luck. You see this? It's not getting enough upvotes. You guys need to upvote more shit in Okay Buddy Vouch. Honest to God. You miss out on some good stuff over there. It's original art, too. Not again. This is great. You know, actually, this, doesn't he look a little bit like Moses from the Prince of Egypt here? And I'm Ramesses, you know? Oh God, doesn't that fit a little bit if you're some sort of parasocial weirdo? Once I called you brother. Yeah. Reno Eno, thank you for the $5. This channel is well worth promoting. It shows you have a blind spot when it comes to the Proud Boys. Blind spot when it comes to the Proud Boys. As in I'm not pro Proud Boy enough or not anti Proud Boy. I'll take a look. Thank you. Oh, it's a Renegade cut. Gotcha. Sparkle Fairy, thank you for the $5. All chatter should subscribe to fellow VGGer Parafox. They make funny Let's Plays, and you'll get all the political jokes. Trying to fucking leech, are we? It's because I saw Parafox, so I was primed to see furry. Yeah, you know what? Hell yeah, why not? Chat. Are you subscribed? No, you're not, statistically speaking. Oh my God. They're having fun.
Are these bubbles dangerous?
Yes.
So let me get this straight, right?
Look, they're friends having fun. You can watch them and pretend that you have friends. Look, I'll even give them a like. Go. Subscribe. Go view. Go subscribe. Let it be known that calls to action don't tend to work that well. If they're not given a proper hook. Go subscribe. All right. It's time to host. It's time to host. We've got a host. Who are we hosting? Well, the debate with Dylan's not for a while. I can't host Demon Mama. She's banned. I'll host the serves. Because it's been a while, hasn't it? No, I'll host the serfs. Hold on. Raid the Serfs TV. Get out there. My not N words. That's okay. All right. Be free. Go forth. All right. Goodbye.